Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olsen from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And gentlemen,
yes,
I could go on to this whole big thing about the science of airbags, and oh, by the way, we will, but no, not right now. Right now, we're going to talk about a little company called Victorinox.
Oh.
They are a knife manufacturer and luxury watchmaker based in the town of Ibach, Switzerland, founded in 1884 by Karl Elsener. No relation to Elsinore beer. That's a different movie. Take off, eh? All right. So they are perhaps best known for their Swiss Army knives. They are made from a proprietary blend of German and French steel. And do you know why it's called a Swiss Army knife?
Because of the Swiss Army?
Close, because it's too hard to say Offertiersmesser.
Offertiersmesser.
Yes, my German's horrible. I apologize to the Germans listening. This is the German officer's knife, and that's the term. That is what they're called. American soldiers, after World War II, they couldn't say that word. It was too difficult to pronounce, so they just coined the phrase Swiss Army knife. Why do I bring that up?
This is how a croissant becomes a croissant-sandwich.
Oh, that's Burger King's fault. That is no one else.
Lazy Americans, what that is.
Speaking of kings, we have our guest for our...
No.
What a pivot.
No.
What a pivot.
No, I give that back to you, sir.
Oh,
That's on the top 5.
Pete, how are you?
Are you telling me that they gave the German officers teeny tiny knives?
They were by that time it was different.
It was a different
I
time.
don't think they were that tiny then.
Yeah, they were
teeny tiny. No, but doesn't it help your memory of the war?
Yeah.
Just like a line of them running with the
Teeny tiny knife.
Oh,
Wait
not
till
the
you see
scissors.
my Swiss Army bayonet.
Yeah, see?
I had one of those in high school. I carried it for years.
Standard issue. Me too.
Exactly.
Why was that? Why did I need it?
I had to go up. I needed the big multi-tool.
Yes,
that's what I carry now.
That's right.
One was like 15. What are we talking about? We're talking about tech. We're talking about tools, and we're talking about talent here on minute 36 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. Joining us again is Mr. Pete Wright.
Hello, boys.
Hey, thank you for joining us. We knew that we couldn't get you up to the point where the suit gets put on and then not have you on the actual episode where the suit shows up.
That's very kind.
That would have been
I was a bit heartbroken.
And we might have gotten fired just for doing something like that. So
Yeah, that's...
But as the minute begins, we pick up where we left off, which is more wacky vehicular homicide. Because we're still hitting Whiplash with the car.
Yeah, it's hard to watch this again and again. Back to our last minute. I haven't bought into our own new entry into canon that there is a hip frame that's protecting it. I tried over the last little while. I can't do it.
I think we'll see in the next couple of minutes as we get to see his entire body that there definitely is not anything below waist level that's protecting
and
him.
Forgive me because, I haven't watched the subsequent minutes. He doesn't limp or anything for the rest of the movie, does he? There is no indication of any traumatic leg injury. He doesn't drag one foot about for the rest of the movie.
I'm trying to remember. There's not a lot of walking he does.
The board doesn't
sitting,
fly behind him, carrying him a little bit.
He is sitting or leaning through most of it, so maybe they were just cleverly concealing the huge casts that were.
Okay, now you know what? It is funny. Point. It is funny you mention this because now this is spoiler for a future minute. There will be a moment where he is dragged off.
Yes,
and his legs do some funny things.
They do.
That's interesting.
Are you saying that's in character? That's character history we've seen being made here?
As I stroke my beard. Maybe. I haven't thought of that. Thank you. We'll put that into a future minute.
Excellent.
So Happy is hitting him with the car again.
And again.
Then Tony says, hit him again. So Happy hits him with the car again. And then Tony asks for the football. Okay, so this is we talked about before, but the football, of course, is the nickname that they have for the nuclear launch like codes, I guess, but actually like the command thing that they have with around the president. But now they have it obviously being used for something else. So we have Tony trying to reach in, and the cut off car door keeps slamming closed as he tries to get the football from Pepper.
It keeps closing on his narcissism, which apparently knows no bounds. He now thinks of himself like the president.
That's right, because why not?
You keep closing the door on my precious ego. Give me the briefcase.
Well, now the door has been cut in half, so there's room for this.
I guess that's true.
So then, guys, this is the point where then Happy hits Whiplash with the car again.
But wait,
so
comedically,
they're still yelling at each other, and so I think then Happy's yelling back to Pepper, "Give him the case! Like, why haven't you given it to him already?" So then
this
finally,
is again, though we talked about this last time. It was about the collision of comedy and tragedy that's going on in the race course, and this is really the pinnacle of that experience.
Yeah. Pinnacle. Yeah, I'd say this is
okay. So a couple serious questions. So did they? I assume they got the key. Because we can see the handcuffs are still on Happy's wrist.
No, that never happens.
So we never saw.
They made
the
such a big
resolution
thing of where's the key? I have the key. Where is it? It's in my pocket. Never comes up.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, as he's frantically driving back and forth and doing
right.
So then at last, Whiplash, from having his legs pulped, does finally wake up and then decides he's going to fight back. And so then there's a great effect of him taking his whip and bringing it down right through the middle of the car. It's a great effect as it comes down as you sail it through, and the sparks are flying in through the rest of the scene. Next to Pepper, you'll see a cascade of sparks pouring down on her. It's such a cool effect. These actually were real Rolls Royces. They bought 2 Rolls Royces custom made for this so that they could tear them into pieces. They each cost about $250,000. Because when you're spending that sweet Paramount cash, you don't care.
Yeah.
Well, these were blemished. These were blemished models.
Yeah,
these were models
I hope that they're in a museum somewhere.
An archive.
They belong in a museum. I mean, I hope that there's like a car collecting thing that has like movie cars or something, that the sliced off ones are somewhere there and they didn't just scrap them.
You know what the problem with these cars were, though?
What?
This one in particular, defective airbag.
You'd think Rolls would have their shop locked up tight.
I just want to say,
but
so we got to obviously say, in the midst of this ramming back and forth, Tony trying to get the football, Pepper losing her mind, there is the visual comedy of the airbag going off, which makes you wonder why it hadn't gone off any of the previous 7 times that he rammed him into it.
Yeah, why? But he's only going 2 feet.
Right. Well, no, and that too, and that as well. Okay, so airbags, I will just have to say this.
Please.
For those of you who don't know, they are literally contained and directed explosions. There's a chemical mix. They basically fill with nitrogen gas, which causes this. The amount of pressure and everything that is done, airbags, the whole science of airbags is amazing, and it's all just completely, no pun intended, exploded over the last 20 to 30 years, in that they vent immediately as in the milliseconds that they're expanding so that they can cushion the person at the point of impact. However, and hopefully none of you, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced an airbag. I have not, but I have talked to people firsthand who have. It's not what appears in this shot of the movie.
No, he just got, this is like a giant whoopee cushion.
Yeah.
It's not.
I've heard it's quite traumatic. Like,
yes, it is.
I've talked to
saves your life.
It's an explosion in your face. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Pete, as you're a film aficionado, has there ever been an airbag joke that worked?
An airbag joke?
Yes.
That
like when it came out, like this is like, haha, the airbag went off. Has there ever been a time that someone in a comedy film has used an airbag to successful comedic effect? Because I could not think of one.
No, and I'll answer quickly, knowing that probably in the chat room we'll have somebody who corrects me. But I feel like I am, not only do I not believe that there's ever been one that worked, even if I try to put myself back in that in that time in the early days of airbag jokes. Mm-hmm. I think they've aged so poorly that everything has been rendered just unfunny. We're done with airbag jokes. Yeah. Let's move along from the airbag jokes. I don't know. I mean, I can't think of one.
That sounded very decisive.
It's pretty decisive. I'm coming down hard. There are a lot of things I've learned to say. Yeah, I don't care. I don't have an opinion. I think I have a strong opinion about airbag jokes. I didn't know it until right now.
There's our headline. So then finally, after all this back and forth, then we have Tony then crosses to the other side of the car after Whiplash is still whipping, and he gets around there just in time to see Whiplash slice off like the top third of the car, and that effect is amazing.
Fantastic.
Now, I know how that they basically just did, cut this and put it on and then just pushed it off at the right time, but it looks so great. Like even 10 years later, that effect is so good of like the whip coming through, the piece slides off, it's red hot from where it went through, and the actors are in there. Like it's not just like there's not a CG Favreau there. I mean, they're actually really there.
Well, and the sparks are flying off and they fall beautifully. I mean, this is one of those, after just coming off of these, just the ridiculous explosions on the track. Yeah. This is effects work at its very peak. And I love it so much because it shows that level of refinement and attention to the smallest detail, which leads us into incredible detail effects work coming up.
And it's a combination of practical and the actual digital, which I think always work better. We're going to get to a point in the Marvel Universe where it's like, yep, that's a lot of CG battling a lot of CG, but here we still have that tactile element that really makes the difference. So then when he finally gets around, then Pepper then throws the football out and it lands on the ground, and then we find out that the football is not a football at all. It's actually the next Iron Man armor. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mark V. So this is designed by Ryan Menerding. He is one of the concept artists at Marvel Studios, still there. He and Andy Park are sort of like the head. Now, I know there's a lot of people that work in that department, and they are all amazing, but they're sort of the two guys that came to the top. Andy was not working there yet, so we'll be talking about him as minutes go on, but this was designed by Ryan. So Ryan took some inspiration from the Silver Centurion armor, which was introduced in Iron Man 200 and ran for a long time. So that's why you have the silver and red as opposed to the gold and red, which we were usually traditional. And he also recently, if you follow him on Twitter at Ryan Menerding Art, you can see he actually has posted some recent concept art that from this time that of different ways that he was going to go about it, and some of those designs became future Iron Man armors. So if in Iron Man 3 another armor shows up, that was one of the original designs for this that he had, they called it the Bones armor, and that one looks like almost like a starfish. It comes out from the center of the chest and goes all the way out, as opposed to this one which sort of builds all the way through. According to the Marvel Studios Visual Dictionary, the briefcase itself weighs about 33 pounds. How can anybody get into that suit? No, they cannot, because he has biometric security built in that scans retinas, face, fingerprints, voice, and brain waves to make sure that.
What about shoes? Does it scan shoes?
No, it does not. It does not scan shoes. Unfortunately,
I think we found a hole.
Yeah, it's true. So this is actually a pure cinematic invention. This is not from any of the comic books. Now, he had a suitcase suit, but what that meant was that he could take the armor off and like fabric, it could fold flat and he could put it into a suitcase so that when he would electrostatically charge it, that it would like have a force field that would create the armor. But he never really had anything that would transform into it. There's even a comic I found of him having the briefcase attached to his arm with a handcuff, and he gets thrown off of the helicarrier, and so he has to like in midair open the case and dress himself, like take off his suit, put on the Iron Man outfit, and then turn it on so he could go flying away. So this was something they wanted to do an homage to that period of Tony Stark, but also then do their own thing, and they did it in an incredible way.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me a little bit. There might be shame when I say this, but it reminds me a little bit of one of my favorite toys of my youth. It was Sound Blaster or Soundwave.
Oh, Soundwave, yeah.
Yeah, with the transformer with the little cassette in the middle of it. I felt like I saw this for the first time. Yeah. Right. Oh, God, they're so great. Yeah. And I see this briefcase. I'm like, oh, my gosh, he's got this suit's a transformer. Where's the... Like, I want that when it comes up and he pulls the handle move is such a hero power move, like where he has his hands are in the gauntlets and he stands up and does that reach, that pull out where he just sort of the arms extend over his arms. It is extraordinarily cool. And I think the entire sequence, 20 seconds, right? We get 20 seconds of the sequence.
Yep.
And
it's the rest of the minute.
It's the rest of the minute. What they do in 20 seconds here is give me the exact same bit of exhilaration that they gave me in the first 45 minutes of Iron Man 1, right? Like all of the machine shop stuff, because my sense memory in this moment takes me back there and allows me to sort of sandwich my emotional experience of this suit and be like, oh, I know that must have been hard to make. You know what I mean? Like I get that whole thing. It just comes rushing back, like my history of Tony Stark and armors. It is so rewarding. And I think you would agree, Kyle in particular, that it is so great that it redeems any of the slowness one might have felt in minutes 5 through 35.
I wouldn't
you
go
say?
that far. However, I will say that from this moment, these next 5 minutes are my favorite 5 minutes of Iron Man 2. Like this is for me the pinnacle of this movie. Because I like Rob and I were talking about this when we were talking about are we going to do this? Rob is like, this has the best Iron Man suiting in all of Marvel history. Like that's why we have to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And so I know, and so we've been talking about it. Rob, I know you have to have opinions on this.
Well, so you're. I mean, I've been just listening and just lounging in your wisdom from both of you. So look, here's the thing. This is to me. And if I had to rank order, I would. We'll save that for a future episode of some kind. This is in the top 10 MCU moments for me of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. No, this 20 seconds, and it may be in the top 5, to be perfectly honest. And that's really saying something. It's probably number 5, but it's that good. And here's why it's good is, I hate to say this. I mean, I think I won because of what it's following. It's been so ridiculous.
Yeah.
The comedy, which, yes, we agree, doesn't completely work. There's so many things that are wrong, that are weird, and maybe they're wrong intentionally. When this moment changes, when that music kicks in, the music is so important to this. That heavy guitar riffs and just the power and the action of it. The CG work here is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And the thing that blows me away, in addition to so many other things, is not just the music, is my Swiss Army knife. You know, when he dives his hands in there and pulls it out, that's exactly what you get from this. You look at that and go, well, there's no way that could actually work. However, there's a part of your brain that says, maybe. And when you slow it down and look at it frame by frame, it's amazing because you can kind of see where all of these elements come from, that suitcase, once it pops open, which is amazing to me. Just incredible. And not only do I just love the movements around him and Robert Downey Jr. just pulls off that amazing determination. Yeah. But I even love how they go to that exterior shot. Now, again, crowd mechanics in movies in the MCU is not great. I don't know why these people are still here. I certainly don't know why they were sitting and then rose to their feet to come closer to the action.
Yeah. Because you come closer to Iron Man, man.
The whiplash battle and getting hit by a car, they're all like, I'll keep busy. But then this is worth standing up for.
That's it, right? This is celebrity. That's a comment on celebrity culture right there, right? Yeah. We don't know who Whiplash is, but we do know who Tony Stark is.
We know Tony Stark is an Iron Man. But the thing I love about it, it is one of the moments where when they go to that exterior shot and you now see him from afar, the geography works. And I'm big on when you go from a close-up shot to an exterior shot and you keep the geography intact.
Yeah.
They've done that. But even better, the effects are totally believable. It looks exactly like what you would expect it to look from 40 yards away. And I just think that's amazing. Like the whole thing. And then you come back in. The CGI gets a little bit wonky with his face as the helmet's coming on, but I don't blame them for that. That's fine. Shadows are a little weird. That's fine. But when the whole thing comes up, he kicks the car out of the way. Yeah. And then you get that hero shot where he turns and just is ready.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is one of the best moments that the MCU has offered.
Yeah. So,
which is really good because we agreed that in the last minute they totally broke geography.
Yes.
They broke it fundamentally. So they kind of it's redemptive.
Now he's just clearing the mat.
Can I just add this too? Just one final callback to the airbag incident. You know how you could have made this scene better? Let me fix this a little bit. They should have gone full realistic with the airbag. It should have knocked Happy out
and break his nose.
Break his nose, right?
Yeah.
So he's got black eyes next time we see him.
And he should have been, but he also should have been crumpled over, and that's it. He would have been out.
Yeah, because then we get to come back to Happy later in the movie and see him with bandages on his nose and maybe some bruising around his eyes. That would have been great, and it would have absolutely put a period at the end of the comedy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We get that with some hero shots, but watching Happy get hurt through all of this ridiculousness ends the experience inside the car, which we need. And here it just sort of whimpers to a close.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
I have a little, just want to get a little nerdy about this. So we see the case slide down, it pops open. We see that there's a footpad on either side, which I think is a nice touch. That doesn't mean like if you put it down and go, oh, I'm on the wrong one, you have to like flip it around or walk around the other side. Okay, so then he puts his foot in, and then the whole case opens. So that's like the activation, and then reaches in, grabs the gauntlets, and lifts it up. Okay, so my question is, we don't get to see what happens from his waist down. So what is your thought about that? So like he has one foot in, then like the other one like flips around, and then what we're not seeing is him putting his other foot in, and then it's extending it all up his legs when he gets to the chest beat, or is it going from the chest down?
My image of it is that it's going up from the ground. When he lifts those gauntlets, it's the same kind of mechanism, that telescoping mechanism that's happening from his arms out. So he pulls the body up, and then and what that reveals is that scaffolding of electronics, just like it does a few seconds later over his arms.
So it's building an exoskeleton over his legs, and then it will like because we see the boots form later on, but we don't get to see sort of thigh up. I mean, like I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were in terms of like how it builds this up, because we see how the arms do. I assume it's the same, but the arms seem to go from the fingertips in.
Because right about second 44 of this minute, you get to see some of the ribbing underneath the actual armor plates on the outside, and it looks very much like what you see around his biceps and arms in that earlier second. So it makes me think that's what was telescoping up, and then everything just sort of falls into place over it.
Yeah,
but you do have to note, like at this point, this is always one of those things not to think about during
I know where you're going, and I thought the same thing.
What is Whiplash doing during these 20 seconds? Like,
as he's
cut him down. Like, if you're the villain, like he's like, "Wow, cool suit. Where's my board?" Like, is that what he's? Come on. So don't stop and think about it. But
okay.
I have a couple thoughts on this too.
Here's just my thought on this is that he's like, finally, I get to destroy my real enemy.
Okay.
Right.
Which is, it's not Tony, it's Tony Stark, but what it really is Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not just like, I know I could beat him up, like physically. I know I could crush him as a human. Yeah, but will my technology, will my technology will my technology best his technology? Okay, that's fair. I'll go with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Rob fixed the movie.
This is where the real fight happens, you know. Yeah. He's waiting. This is what he's been waiting for. So then we see like the as it goes along, and you know scallops in over the top of it, and then when I love when the helmet forms, that you see all the pieces and then they just merge together.
Yeah.
Like it becomes the Iron Man face, like that one solid thing.
And all the panels aligned, right?
Yes,
not like Tesla.
I would have been fine if like on the rest of the suit, if we had seen the ridges, that'd have been fine too. But like I know that there's also the toyetic element of it, where it's like we need to have like, this is what people expect. We don't want to change the face armor because we paid a lot of money for that.
Right.
Then he you're right, that great. Now is that shot of him like kicking the car away, awesome. But they do the shot from inside the car as it slides away. That is amazing. They built the camera rig on the side of this Rolls Royce and then yanked it backwards with the actors in it. Yeah,
so great,
so cool.
Yeah. I want a shout out to RDJ here, because that from second 49 to 55, right when the helmet finally closes, like the stoic look on his face, it belies a lot of character, right? Yes. And I really like it, because we talked about all of his experience, like knowing that his life is in peril, and having this sort of just, now he's a risk taker because he doesn't care so much. Things, he can do anything because he's going to die. But this is a look of a guy who's just had cold water thrown on his face, and I think he sells it here as what they've done with his eyes. And for my sense is his face probably isn't in there. It's a CG representation. But what he did performatively here to model that look as the helmet comes down over him, I think is again, it's a powerful look for this point in the movie, and I think it's great to set the place for this character to know that he's going to move forward and take action now, and not just kind of ride along.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the song, as we mentioned, this is called First Confrontation. And that's what we have here, because as the minute ends, we have Iron Man fully armored facing off, and then we cut to a quick reaction shot of Whiplash, and that's where the minute literally comes to an end.
Can I just add 2 quick things on that?
Please.
Just adding to his expression. That expression with the cold water on his face is true. I think one of the things that really also talks about is that, look, he knows his time's numbered, right? But he sees the people he cares about in danger. Yeah. And that's the real moment where the world's been turned upside down. Not only did the technology that I thought no one was going to have is now happening. Wow, you've put these people in risk. And I just want to say the shot of him when he kicks the car out of the way before it goes to the interior shot. If those are people in that car, which obviously I don't how much of that is practical effects, how much of that is not. Whoever the animator was did an amazing job, because you can actually see Pepper and Happy's heads lunge out of the vehicle because the vehicle is getting kicked. It's an amazing little detail that I gotta say is just awesome. I mean, just all of this. The detail in the suit is just one thing. It's incredible. But just things like that. This is such a great moment. 20 seconds of gold.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Truly. Yeah, and the final hero shot as he turns, right, where you get to see the scalloping of the suit and the ribbing across his chest, and his just incredible abs, robot abs, Iron Man abs. Like, it just, everything looks good. The detail on the suit is such a wonderful evolution, and it leads me to what I know you'll continue is the destruction of this suit happens so quickly. Like breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It's inaugural outing, and things are not going to go well.
Yeah,
for this.
Right. But it is a fragile suit, right? That is one thing I don't think we mentioned. It appears fragile. It appears temporary, almost disposable, right? Like this is just the suit that I'm going to carry around just in case. But it also harkens to the future of Iron Man development. I feel like this sequence allows him to learn about the suit, and it's this experience I think you can trace all the way to the nano suit. Right. Mm-hmm. Like it's this experience that says, you know what? I never want to be so far away from the suit that I have to yell at somebody to throw me the football. I want to know that I have complete control over the suit at any given time. It's the Hulkbuster suit that comes out of the space directly to him. Right. Yep. It's all the stuff that's more instantaneous. So I'd be curious if that's because cinematically that's what I feel, but I don't have the comic background to be able to comment on that.
Well, I can. There's a couple things I can say about that. From a character standpoint, yes, I believe you can see the direct line from Iron Man, like the suits going all the way through until where we see it end up in Infinity War with like the full nano coming out of the particles coming out. But from a creative standpoint, that is not the way Jon Favreau wanted it ever to go, because in the commentary he talks about how much he does not like that. That he really wanted there to be a mechanical, tactile, physical thing to it. He said, like, when they talked about doing this, he did not want to have it like just form around him. He really wanted to have a big clunky thing that he would have to pick up and extend, and it would go on to him. So had he continued on as the steward of Iron Man, I don't think we ever would have gotten what we got in Infinity War, where the suit just magically appears, because he really wanted to have that really firm tactile thing.
Kyle, I love you, and I appreciate all that information, but I really do prefer Pete there laying the foundation for this movie being the pivotal moment in the entire MCU.
Wait, in the entire MCU?
Well, I mean, it really is. All of the stuff that comes after is seated in this moment where Tony has a different change in his desire to be not separated from the suit. Thank you, Pete.
Wow, this episode has gone on a long time. I do not have time to unpack how wrong that is.
Travis, come on, I'm just kidding.
But in the meantime, if you want to continue that conversation, you can do so over on Discord. We have our very own Discord server. If you go to nextreel.com, scroll down to the bottom and find the happy little blue button that says Discord. You can click on that. It'll take you to our Discord, and we can continue these kind of conversations along the way. And I can be piled on by all the Iron Man 2 zealots out there. I'm sure that'll happen. But speaking of zealots, this is that we're gonna have to say goodbye to Mr. Pete Wright. From king to zealot. That's how fast things have fallen.
How fast the mighty do fall. Hey, you guys, I love it. I love what you're doing this season. I am just honored to have been able to come and hang out for 6 straight minutes. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was a joy.
Thank you.
All right.
Outstanding.
So yeah, thank you all for listening. I'll be back here as the true battle of Iron Man versus Whiplash kicks off here in our next minute. Do not miss minute 37, or you will be sad that you did. Enough said.
Bye.